Welcome to Caldwell County Today. I'm Paige Counts, Public Information Officer for Caldwell County. Joining me today is Keith Smith, and he's here to talk about Home for Christmas.
That's right, Paige. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Home for Christmas, this is a concert I started back in 2010, and I was thinking about my childhood Christmases, and I was an only child, and my mom and dad, we had the old console cabinet stereo, and it had long playing records, and we put like 5 on it. They'd drop down one at a time. We'd have like a Perry Como album and an Andy Williams album and a Bing Crosby album and a Nat King Cole album, and we'd go on to bed and then fall asleep listening down the hall to those. Mom and Dad's bedrooms down at one end of the hall, mine was the other. We'd listen all the way to the living room and fall asleep to those dulcet tones, as I call them. And so we also had, I guess what some people would consider tacky now, but I liked them, those big bulbs instead of the little bulbs, the color bulbs. And we had those plastic candles in the window that have blue light. And we didn't have a silver tree, but we had one of those little reflector things, and we just shone it on our regular tree. And it looked good, but it had the green and the burgundy and the autumn and the blue colors, and it spun around. And so we always reminisce about our past fondly. We don't remember the bad things, but the good things. And I was just thinking those childhood Christmases were simple and special, and I wanted to try to recreate that. So out of that came the idea for a Home for Christmas concert, in which we have a 50-voice choir, 50 or so voices. You know, I seek out the best people, and they're very good. I'm proud of them. I always say I surround myself with good people. That's my secret. But every year for 10 years we've had, and I'll tell you about the couple of years missing out of that math because it started in 2010 and this is the 10th one. But every year we have around 50 voices and we sing some sacred music and some secular music. And we've had guests join us and we've had special other music. I write some skits occasionally. Generally starts with a meal, as it will again this year. And so it's become a big thing that a lot of my singers love doing. It's always the second Friday and Saturday in December. This year that's the 9th and 10th. And there are people who tell me that this is what kicks off their Christmas season, and they've gotten used to it. So we did it for 8 years. And then I had surgery on my esophagus, which went really well, but it was right at the time of the concert. So we didn't do it in 2018. And then in 2019, I had foot surgery. During the week of the show is when it was scheduled, the time it could be, and I had to have it. And it went great too, Dr. Jenkins. So, I can't remember my doctor's name in Charlotte now. I couldn't remember they did my esophageal surgery, but great guys, and I felt really blessed to have them. And then in 2020, we didn't do it because of COVID. So last year, decided to start again. And at that time, Greg Knight, who's accompanied for me for so many things, my childhood friend, and he had been suffering for about a year with cancer, and it was in a bad position. And so I thought, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it to honor Greg, and we're going to recognize him and try to have some gifts for him and that sort of thing. And so Greg called me, and we talked some, but he was tired a lot. We didn't talk as much as we used to, but he called me and said, I want to really try to play for this. I'm feeling a little bit better. And I said, Greg, are you sure? And he said, yes, he really wanted to. Because I could see my singer saying that Keith, he's driving people here. He's making Greg come and play. It was not that way at all. Greg wanted to play. But by the time the concert came, you could tell he was very, very tired and very ill. And it was the last public appearance he made, either just seeing people and also performing. But he played the keyboard for that. So it was very bittersweet, but it was very special to me that we were able to do that at that time. And so this year, we're resuming again, this year with a meal for the first time, and since we did it in 2017, we had some snacks last year, but Sim's Country Barbecue is catering the event, and they have chicken, like if you go to their place, and it's a lot of what they have there. They have chicken and barbecue pork, and you can have both, and slaw, and mixed beans, and potato chips, and peach cobbler, and corn fritters, and tea and water. So I'm looking forward to that. Joe Sims is working with me on that. We'll have that lined up. And it's a venture and a risk every time we do it, but we usually end up at least breaking even and sometimes making a little bit of money. And we've sponsored a few causes in the past, but what we basically do now, any money that comes into the coffers that's extra after all the bills, and there are a lot of bills, we put back into the next year's concert. And I wanted to do what we're going to do next year this year, but it just didn't pan out. But we're going to have a chamber orchestra next year and a special cantata with about 15 instrumental pieces. We're getting some new risers. As we get older, and my singers are getting older, we need to sit more. We're trying to get risers upon which they can sit. And also next year, my other vision is to have some underprivileged kids from the Caldwell County school system and other places who wouldn't afford or go see a concert with a chamber orchestra and a 50-voice choir otherwise, and we'll bring them in to expose them to that music. So I feel very good about that. But we're going to get through this year first. And as I said, and you can ask me some questions. You always just turn me loose and I'll start going. December 9th and 10th, that's a Friday and Saturday. And I'll tell you how you can get tickets in a moment. It's not officially through the town, although the town's
That was
affiliated.
actually going to be my question.
Okay.
Explain that this is not an official town.
That's correct.
It's not a hub production.
No. I, through Wind and Woods Production, my production company, rent the facility. That's how we've done it every year. And they're very supportive in the town. And Addie's wonderful, and Janice Woody used to be too, to help me with everything. But it's a rented facility. And if you get tickets, you need to call, and I'm sure we'll put this on the screen, 322-3169. And you'll probably have to leave a message, but I will get back to you. And then I can let you know how everything proceeds. But again, it's Friday and Saturday, the 9th and 10th. And this year we got a really special thing happening. We're going to open the doors at 5:30. And the reason for that is there's a very nice lady named Lori Hoffa from Hickory who has literally one of the most special collections of mangers and nativity scenes in the world. This is a world-class collection. She calls them her babies, and she hasn't been able to put anything out for about 3 years, so she's excited about this. But she's going to bring not all of her collection because she has like 500 manger scenes from 30 different countries. But she'll bring probably close to 100 from a lot of different countries. And it amazes me, Paige, because people can choose to look at it spiritually, which a lot do and should, but it's an artistic collection as well. They're little handmade nativity scenes from kids in Indonesia all the way up to fancy, elaborate porcelain figures from Europe, and she's got everything in between. One of my favorites is the Great Smoky Mountains collection, where everybody's a bear. Little bear, baby Jesus, and the bear, and you can tell who they are. It's just phenomenal, so you do not want to miss that. It's worth the price of admission just to come see that. But she'll have that displaying at 5:30 in a room down the hall from the auditorium. Then at 6:30 is the meal, which we talked about. And then at 7 o'clock, Bob and Roberta Kogut and R.G. Absher are going to play music. It'll be folk music, traditional acoustical music, and they're all very good. Most of you probably know them. Bob is also a world-class fiddle maker. He's made fiddles and violins for famous violinists and fiddlers all around the world. But he plays the violin and some mandolin, and Roberta plays the concertina and the bass. That's his wife. And then they're joined by R.G. Absher, who's a fine musician, great guy. Many of you saw Cotton Patch Gospel. He was in that. He played the banjo and mandolin. And I think for this, he's mainly going to play hammered dulcimer, which I think is a very peaceful instrument for this time of the year. So you'll want to see that. So if you don't get a dinner ticket, we'll talk about that too. Make sure you come see the Manger collection, that you're in there at 7 o'clock to hear them. And then the official concert begins at 7:30.
And we usually talk about the Koguts at Fiddler Convention time.
Yes, yes.
So that, if you've heard that name before, it's typically with Fiddler's Convention. He's very involved with that.
Yes, he is. Bob's a great guy. He's crazy in a good way. He's crazier than me, and that's saying a lot. But he'll go up to people and get right in their face and say, your name's familiar, but I can't place your face. And they'll just go, what? But Bob's a fine musician, but also just a great guy. And as I said, a world-class instrument builder. But we're very fortunate to have them join us. And they're friends of mine. Bob and I have worked together on things for years and years. And I met R.G. Absher within the last couple of years, and he's a wonderful man. So people will want to see that. And then we'll start singing with about 50 voices and have a skit or two and a little bit of special appearances by some characters.
There's always a surprise when Keith's involved. That is the one thing I've learned in my time here. If Keith Smith's name is associated, there's a surprise or something unexpected somewhere in the show.
Maybe you get out of a box of Cracker Jacks, or maybe it's just it materializes. But yeah, we'll have some good things happening.
Talk to us about the tickets.
Okay. Tickets for all those events I mentioned and the concert and dinner are $30. And which really is a very reasonable price for all you get. And then if you just want to go to all the events, see the manger scene, watch the Kogets, watch our concert from the balcony, but not eat, it's $15. And the way you get tickets, I mentioned before, is to call 322-3169. That's a 828 area code. It's in Hickory. And if you're writing a check for it, it's Wind, W-I-N-D, and Woods, W-O-O-D-S Productions, or just Wind and Woods is fine. And you mail that to 5490 Suttlemyre, that's S-U-T-T-L-E-M-Y-R-E, all one word, Suttlemyre Lane, Hickory, 28601. And again, I'm sure we can put that on the screen, but I will, or someone will get back to you, so be patient, and we'll talk to you and send you extensive information and mail the tickets to you. And you will have a reserved table. And we ask for some preference. Well, by this time, tickets are starting to sell enough that it's getting back to about close to halfway through the house. But what I say, Paige, about a concert as opposed to a play, I direct dinner theater at the Hub, and the closer you can be in dinner theater, you see the nuances and people's expressions. But a concert of this magnitude, this many voices, it almost needs a little bit of room to assimilate and brew together. So I think halfway back's about the most appropriate seat. It's all good, but that building is going to be glorious with sound no matter where you are. So I like that part of it.
I went to last year's concert, and like you say, you had snacks. You didn't have a meal because we were still that touchy COVID time.
Right.
But it was fabulous, and we sat we were probably about 3/4 of the way back. But still, the sound was amazing.
Well, people always say this, but in this case it is true. There's not a bad seat for a concert. I'd rather be a little closer for a play, but I think anywhere in that building is going to be good for the concert. And I'll mention that Candace Hageman has her 3 doors down, so you can go get refreshments there before the show and an intermission. And I always tell people it's 3 doors down if you go straight into that end of the Hub station. If you go from the theater out, it's like 18 doors down.
Yeah, there's a lot of doors.
There's a reason, but just in the far hall. But she'll be there, and we'll have some festive decorations, and Addie will have the building looking good. And if you've not been in there in a long time, you need to go just see all the artwork and everything that's happening down the halls of the Hub station. It's an amazing transformation, spearheaded by Kathy Carroll and Ann Smith, but it's just been phenomenal what they've done, and a lot of people pitching in. But it's make it an evening. Come early and stay for a few hours, and we'll have a good time.
Is there anything you want to tell us about the lineup? I mean, you said you'll have some sacred, some traditional carols.
We always kick off anymore. And as I said, next year we're going to have a cantata, and then the next year I'm hoping to do a Christmas carol, the play. So as our concert. So this will probably be the last year we do this traditional exact setting that we're doing now. But we kick off with a piece called Keep Your Lamps Trimmed and Burning. It's an Advent piece. Very nice music, very nice a cappella, and Rose Bebo does a great solo on it. We'll have a little bit of percussion with that. And then we do another spiritual called All Night, All Day, Angels Watching Over Me, My Lord. And we make sure we don't say angels and Lord, we say angels and Lord. And that's our second piece. Then we do another really fun spiritual, I haven't done it in a while, called Going to Bethlehem. Going to Bethlehem, going to Bethlehem to see that baby. Going to Bethlehem, see that child. It's a very nice piece. And we do, actually before that we do Oh Beautiful Star of Bethlehem. And I make sure they understand we say beautiful, not beautiful as people want to say. You look beautiful today, Paige. It's beautiful, yeah. And then we do God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, which is one of my favorite carols. It's God Rest Ye Merry, comma, gentlemen. My gentlemen, may God rest you merry. It's not God rest you, all you merry gentlemen. And then we conclude, well, Act 1 has You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and we'll have some visitors. And then there's a little skit to end the first half. And then we sing some just really beautiful pieces. Do You Hear What I Hear, which is with our little finger cymbals, which is always one of my favorites. And we do a beautiful piece called All on a Starry Night that quotes Silent Night. You can just imagine sitting at your picture window as it turns dusk and see a deer out there and some trees, lights, and it's a very peaceful piece. And then we do a Candlelight Carol by John Rutter, a beautiful piece of music. And Brian Clark is going to do his classic standard we do every year, Mary Did You Know? And this year we have Maddie Wilson, who, if you saw To Kill a Mockingbird we did recently, was Scout and did such a fine job. She's a fine young lady. She's doing a solo. called Breath of Heaven as Mary, dressed as Mary. And in real life, scholars say Mary was probably 13 or 14 or 12 when Jesus was born, because life expectancy was so shorter. And Maddie's 13, so to see a young girl portraying like what is happening to me, it's very poignant. And then we have a piece called Christmas in About 3 Minutes, where we quote 26 different Christmas carols in 3 minutes, so you can count as you go.
If you can keep up, you can count as you go.
And we'll conclude with some men singing a very rousing spiritual. So it promises to be a good evening of entertainment. I'm excited about it, and I always get excited about it, but this year it feels kind of special. So, and last night as of this taping, we rehearsed last night, and we split the women and men up, and Sherry January and Patsy Riddle worked with the ladies, and I worked with the men. And Patsy's singing in the group, and Sherry's accompanying us, as I said. But I could hear them in the other room, and they sounded glorious, the women, and our men sounded good too. So when we put it all together, it's going to be very special. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
I look forward to it every year, but it is a great kickoff to the holidays. Tell us again the dates of the event and how to get tickets.
All the logistics, December 9th and 10th. Go ahead and call ahead of time, even if you're just getting in the balcony. Call ahead of time, and I'll let you know about all those events which we discussed already. And you want to get your tickets ahead of time for dinner, especially because you need to make the reservations. He needs to know how many to serve. You can't just show up that night. And you could for the balcony, but we prefer not. But you can't for the meal. And the meal's from Sim's Country Barbecue. Again, it's chicken, pork, both, mixed beans, slaw, potato chips. Peach cobbler, corn fritters, tea, and water. And the meal starts at 6:30. But before that, you want to come at 5 o'clock for the manger scene. 5:30. 5, you'll be standing out in the cold. And then 6:30 is the meal, and 7 o'clock are the Kogas and Mr. Absher playing. And to get your tickets, you call 322-3169. That number's on your screen. I feel like those evangelists. The number's on the screen. I'm pointing at it. And then you'll be instructed how to mail a check, and it's very laid back in that regard. But we'll take care of you. And it's $30 for everything, $15 if you don't do the meal, but everything else. I don't know if there's anything else we need to say or not. That's
all right, Keith.
Most of it, I think.
Thank you for being part of getting us in the holiday spirit.
Well, thank you. It's always fun. I enjoy the people with whom I work. Enjoy you and Eric and Keegan. You help me so much. People don't know this, but it's actually 2 o'clock in the morning when we tell you that's not true. But true. It is after hours. It's like between 5:30 and 6, and everybody sacrifices going home to their family to stay to accommodate my crazy schedule. So we appreciate that. I appreciate that.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate the things you do to bring art into our community.
Well, it's my pleasure, and it's like I put so much energy into it, and vision and passion, that if I didn't enjoy it, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't have the energy to, especially as I age. We were talking about aging earlier.
Yes, yes, we were. So thank you for being here, Keith.
Thank you, Paige.
And thank you for watching Caldwell County Today.
here.
But Keith, we didn't sing Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Yeah, but that's Holy Land did.
And I'm feeling sentimental. Let's sing All Lang Syne. Hey, Rose. Yeah. Let's sing Mocal Rose. Yeah. Keith, we haven't sung Bringing Torch to Nat or Isabella.
It's really hard to satisfy everyone. We're going to sing 23 Christmas carols in 3 minutes.